Hey guys, this is Nick from ForexForNoobs.com with some midday analysis. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of August 2016, and the time is 13:06 here in the UK. You're looking at a EURAUD 12-hour chart, but we're going to switch to USDJPY and work our way down. So in today's analysis, we're going to be looking at each chart on this list to the right here, and we're going to be looking at every time frame for that chart. The reason I do this is to scan for price action setups. By looking at every chart and every time frame for the chart, it ensures that I see any potential price action setups forming. I am looking mainly for reversals today, like I do every day because I trade reversals mainly. You'll see a lot of weird time frames up here. The only time frames I actually trade are the 3-hour, 4-hour, 6-hour, 8-hour, 12-hour, and daily. These other time frames here, 9, 10, 11, 7, and 5, they are there just for analysis purposes. The more I split up candles into different time frames, the more information I get, and the more I'm able to understand what price is doing in a certain area. That's why I use those time frames for analysis. But yeah, let's get started with today's analysis. We're gonna start with USDJPY on the daily chart and work our way down. USDJPY is sitting on top of a support area right now. It looks like it started to reverse. I believe some people entered a reversal trade here, but it is coming back to the support area. Yeah, so overall it's not doing that great. But if you look at this on the daily, it looks like it definitely looks like price is stuck in this area. Price is definitely struggling down here. This big long lower wick here suggests that sellers are really going to struggle to break through. And this current daily candle, it has not been able to make a lower low. It hasn't made a higher high, but it still hasn't made a lower low. And it in fact has come pretty close to the high, but it has come nowhere near the low. It's not even broken out of this support area here. So it's not even got beyond that support area. Well, not significantly anyway. So to anyone who's long on USDJPY, you may as well hold it. And honestly, I'm going to be looking to potentially enter a long trade maybe on the daily. I'm not too sure about that, but depending on how the setup forms, I might look at entering a long trade on the daily, not based on this candle. I'm talking about tomorrow's candle, if it looks like a good indecision candle. My biggest concern would be this big lower wick here and how that would affect my stop loss. But my overall point is not to rule out or not to bail out of any long that you may be in, because just because this candle has fallen back down a little bit, it doesn't really mean anything. We're still solidly on top of the support area. Price has not been able to make a lower low, and it all looks pretty decent still. Let's check out USDCHF. Interesting. We'll come back to that in a second. I just want to look at it on other time frames. Right. So what are we seeing on USDCHF? We're clearly seeing signs of price stalling on top of a support area. It is a little bit below that support area, but keep in mind, support is not perfect. When you place the area, it's not like your placement is going to be exactly perfect and price is going to stop right on top of that area every single time. That's not how support and resistance works. When you place support resistance, you're making an educated guess as to where the area of support is or where the area of resistance is. But it could in fact be a little lower or a little higher. You can never get them perfect. So in this case, you know, it's not that bad to pull the support area down to here. You know, it still looks pretty decent as a support area when you pull it down a tiny bit. It still accounts for that bounce. It accounts for all those bounces. It better accounts for that bounce there. See that one there? Bam. So yeah, support resistance is never exactly perfect. It's never going to be right on the spot you want it. So in this case here, you know, if we do pull this support area down a little bit, this looks a little bit better. It doesn't look like a solid indecision candle, but if you take a look at this, it's quite clear what's going on here. You got price hitting an area of support and it's stalling. Price is stalling. Buyers seem to be wanting to take control of price. It looks okay-ish on the 12-hour. Same with the USDJPY we were looking at. My biggest concern would be this lower wick here and how it would affect the stop loss. Because ideally, I like to place my stop loss beyond the most recent low. I want to place it in an area where it's hard for sellers to hit. So I'd want to place it here, but that would be way too big. Let's quickly look at the numbers here. With a stop loss roughly down there and an entry there. Yeah, we're only going to hit 1.4 before we hit the next resistance area. So ideally the stop loss would need to be tighter, which is a bit of a risk. But that would give us a decent risk to reward ratio. You could get 1.5 before the next resistance area, and you can get 2 at the next resistance area, risk reward 2. So yeah, I mean, it's not the safest setup, but it's not horrible either. I'm going to monitor this on the 12-hour and the daily, preferably with this here, because of that lower wick and because I've seen that sellers are able to get this low. Even though they got pulled back up, sellers were able to get this low. That indicates to me that sellers were quite strong and that they might not have much trouble getting this low again. I'm probably going to wait for this to close on the daily. You know, I want to see buyers holding their own for quite some time before I'd be willing to think about entering this. You know, I could theoretically say, yeah, I'll enter it on the 12-hour because it looks like not a perfect reversal candle, indecision candle on the 12-hour, but it looks doable. But yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait for it on the daily. I wouldn't mind seeing how this turns out on the daily. It might even close as a better indecision candle on the daily. So yeah, it's worth monitoring. I'll be keeping a close eye on both the 12-hour and the daily, but I would much prefer to look at this on the daily. All right, USD CAD, similar pattern here. It spiked down, but I don't think we're going to get any setup here because yeah, nothing there. New Zealand USD. It got really messy, this pair yesterday. I was looking to get in long yesterday on this trade, and it seems like it would have, well, it's in the process of working out, but I couldn't really find a good entry for this one. It just got messy. It got really messy after the analysis. It was because of USD news, but I think there was also some news after it that caused it to get this messy. So there was no real opportunity to get into this trade, sadly. New Zealand CAD, we're not going to do that one. That was just there because it was posted to the forum. GBP USD. Yeah, nothing much happening there. GBPJPY. We talked about it long in yesterday's analysis here. Well, we didn't talk about it in the analysis video, but right after the analysis, I kind of posted an update on my blog and also on the YouTube video itself about a potential trade here. I didn't end up entering it. Did anyone enter this one? The GBPJPY long? Anyone that's in the room today? Hello, Nishid. You entered, Paul? Oh, looks pretty decent on the 8 hour too. Still looking good. I mean, 8 hours showing higher highs and higher lows. 12 hours showing, well, a high, but we wouldn't have traded on the 12 hour. The daily is just showing a single high and higher low. Yeah, it's still pretty decent. I would say hold it. There's no signs that this trade is going badly. I mean, it has pulled back a little bit from the high, but you know, that happens. You rarely get, when you get into a trade, it rarely just goes straight up in your direction. It's going to go up and down for a little bit. But 8 hours showing solid higher highs, higher lows. I would still say this is a pretty decent trade. Yeah, go for it. Hold it, man. Look at that. We're getting like some really, really nice looking indecision candles, but we have that big long spike above it, which makes it very hard to place a safe stop loss. I don't like those spikes. I know I explained it before, but I'll explain it in a little more detail. Spikes like this, right? Like this one we're seeing on EURAUD, and we saw it on USD CAD, USDCHF, USDJPY. What they tell me is that buyers can easily, well, they have recently pushed up to here, which means that it's not as much of a struggle for them to push up to here again. So when I'm placing my stop loss, ideally, I like to place it at a new high, a place where buyers haven't reached for a while. So it would be here, but that would make the stop loss way too big. So in this case, if I were to enter a trade based on this EURAUD setup here, which, you know, I might be willing to do because, hey, going short on the euro is not a bad move. And it looks like a pretty solid indecision candle. This looks like a decent setup on the daily. If the candle closes as is, you know, we've still got like 12 hours until it closes, but if the candle closes as is, it looks like a pretty solid setup on the daily. But yeah, that's the question. Like, would I want to enter this given that there's a long upper wick here, which kind of makes my stop loss not as safe? I'm not 100% sure right now if I would. I might not, but it's definitely something to look out for because this looks like a solid setup. Let's check it out on the 12 hour. Yeah, it doesn't look as good on the 12 hour. Let's look at some other time frames just to get an idea of what price is doing in this area. All right. Today is one of those days with lots of setups, but the setups aren't that fantastic. But this looks good. It looks good overall. You know, if I think this trade is safe enough to place a stop loss lower than this wick, then I might enter this trade. It's definitely something I'm going to watch out for. EURAUD is, yeah, looking pretty good. As is, what was it? USDCHF looks okay-ish. But EURAUD is looking pretty good. All right, EUROJPY on the daily. Yeah, we're not going to get a setup here. It's just, it's gone into a very, very tight range. Tight ranges like this aren't necessarily a bad thing. But for me personally, it's not something I trade. Whenever I see a tight range like that, I say to myself that this is pretty much just an indecision candle, much like the one we're seeing on EURAUD. It's pretty much the same thing. That candle there, it's probably not exactly the same, but it's roughly that candle there is what's happening on EUROJPY. It's just happening on a higher time frame. So if we were to go to the weekly, see, it kind of looks like an indecision candle. I don't trade weekly charts though. But, you know, there's something to be said for taking a setup like this on the daily time frame. So you would treat it kind of the same. Now, I'm not suggesting anyone does this because this is not something that I'm willing to do. So I'm just putting the idea out there because you guys in this room right now, you're Forex Mastermind members and you kind of understand price action. I mean, you've gone through the videos, you understand price action. So I'm not saying I personally do this, and not because it doesn't work. I haven't really tried it that much, but this is just an idea I want to put out there for you guys, something to chew on. All right. What is wrong with treating this as an indecision candle? We know it's an indecision candle on the weekly chart. So what's wrong with doing something like this? And again, I'm not suggesting you guys do this. Don't rush out and do this. This is just an idea. It's a concept that you might want to toy with. You might want to test it without putting real money on it. Just test it. You know, it's something I might want to test. What's wrong with doing something like this? All right, so you look at this and you trade at something like that. So that is still an indecision candle. It's just a spread out indecision candle because it's an indecision candle on the weekly, sorry. So on the weekly, it would look kind of like this. We got last week's indecision candle. We're using that high. We're using the low of the original candle that pushed down to here. So you'd be looking at it something like that, but you're looking at on the daily. So you don't have to go to the weekly. You just treat this as a possible reversal on the daily. Anyway, I'm sure you guys get what I'm talking about. It's just an idea. It's something to chew on because, as you know, I've been trying to expand my understanding of price action. I've been trying to look at different setups. You know, still reversals, but I've been trying to not stick too stringently to the reversal candle I look for, because the more I've been trading price action, the more I'm starting to understand that candles are just an illusion somewhat. And, you know, if you're stuck too much on thinking about what this candle looks like on the daily or on the 12-hour, then you're not really understanding what price itself is doing. Price itself is not limited to daily candles, 12-hour candles, 8-hour candles, whatever. Price is always fluid, it's always moving. So when you try to stamp price down in these little blocks that we call candles, you're not always getting a clear picture of what's going on. Because what is going on here is price being stuck here for a week and a half now. And, you know, it's clear that it's going to break out in one direction or the other at some point. And, you know, if it breaks out to the top ways, why not take a trade? Anyway, just an idea, guys. I don't think it has any... it's not something we could use in today's analysis, so I'm going a little bit off subject. I might remove this from the YouTube video because the video is getting a little long. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about this, please keep them till after I end this video, and we can discuss them later. Okay, EURAUD. What's going on EURAUD? I didn't take this short trade, by the way. Yesterday we discussed the potential short trade, but I said that it had some problems, mostly the stop loss being too big, and I would want to enter on a retrace. The retrace never happened, not as far as I saw, so there was no chance to enter this short, unfortunately. It does look like it's stalling right now anyway. But yeah, it was too risky a short to enter based on the size of the stop loss and the entry. That's why I wanted to enter on a pullback, but yeah, it never happened. EURAUD. What are you doing, EURAUD? Are you forming indecision or are you rushing up? I'm not sure. Let's see it on the low. Ooh, look at that. Look at the 7-hour. What's that? That's a sign that price might be getting stuck here. But it's only the 7-hour. Still, we are getting signs that price might be stalling here. It's worth keeping an eye on this over the next 8 hours or so. If indecision does form here, it's a nice strong preceding trend. So if indecision does form here, it could lead to a pretty decent reversal. I mean, we do see some strong evidence that this is a good area of resistance. It held price back from several bounces all the way back down. So yeah, I'll keep a close eye on this. EURAUD might work out as a short trade. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I'm not sure, but you know, we don't have indecision forming right now, so this is just something to look out for. It's not something that would potentially be a trade anytime soon. AUDUSD. AUDUSD 12-hour indecision candle forming on top of support. Let's look at it on the daily. Let's check out some lower time frames. All right, so it's quite clear that price is stalling on top of the support area. It's stalling on multiple time frames. But it looks like it's stalling on the 12-hour too, which is a decent time. We've got 8 hours until this 12-hour candle closes though, so yeah, that's a bit of a long time. Look at that. It's a 2.77 risk to reward ratio. I mean, this is not the best looking setup, but we do have indecision forming on top of an area of support, and it has a good risk to reward ratio. If the candle closes exactly as it is now, you know, this might be worth entering. If buyers take control of price and push price up, yeah, I could definitely see entering this setup. It has potential. I'd want to see how it closes on the 12-hour. Maybe. No, 8-hour, no. Maybe even the 6-hour. It might be worthy of a 6-hour trade. I don't know. It's definitely worth watching. It's something I'm going to keep an eye on both the 6-hour and the 12-hour and see how it plays out. AUD New Zealand is in between two support resistance areas. Yeah, we're not going to see anything here. AUDJPY is plowing through a support area. Looks like it. No, it doesn't look like it's stalling at all. Yeah, nothing happening there. All right, so today is kind of a busy day. AUDUSD on the 12-hour and 6-hour looks decent. Might be worth a long trade, something like this, something like you see here. Obviously, we have to wait for the candles to close and then for buyers to take control of price. But this is a potential setup. Keep in mind, by the time this candle closes, it could have pushed all the way down, and then this would not be a setup. This is a potential setup, so it means potentially, if the candle closes as it is now, you know, it might be a decent trade setup. Okay, EURAUD on the higher time frames, so the daily, we have a solid indecision candle forming. Remember, this has to close also, but when this closes, there might be some potential here too for a trade. My biggest concern, like I said, is that long wick up the top, but yeah, there's a pretty solid trade setup. Other than that long wick, but yeah, I'll update on my blog if I enter this trade. I'll update and I'll explain how I'm going to handle this trade if I do end up taking it. USDCHF is not the best looking setup, not at all, but you know, we are getting all the signs that we want to see when we're looking for a potential reversal. We're getting price stalling on top of the support area, and we're seeing buyers starting to take control of price. So there is potential for a trade here, even though it's kind of like not the best looking trade. And EURAUD, it's just something to watch out for. You know, maybe in the next 8 to 12 or even 24 hours, we might see indecision forming here because we are seeing some signs of indecision on the lower time frames. You mostly see it on the 7 hour, which is a bit of a random time frame. But if you look closely enough, you're seeing it on the 3 hour too. See that long upper wick? You know, that's a sign that price is struggling to get through this area. So it might not struggle overall. It might just continue up and break through, but it's something to watch, to look out for. You just watch it, see what happens. If it stalls here and reverses, awesome. If it just keeps going straight through, then whatever. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up below. If you have any questions regarding this video, then leave a comment below and I'll respond to it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get notified as soon as I upload my videos. My Facebook and Twitter are in the description below. Thanks again for watching and happy trading.